This is what I've been waiting for, man. Yeah. 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 That's what I've been waiting for, man.
Hello, Nevada. This is Mike Lang, one of the Nevada digital engineers and Clark County School District teacher. I'm joined as always with my homie Webbs. Webbs, say hello to the peoples.
What's up?
Indeed, and this is a very interesting pre-Thanksgiving type scenario here. We're going to kind of get down with some stuff, Webbs. We're going to talk a little bit about writing across the curriculum because writing across the curriculum is something that everyone should do. And I think sometimes though, Webbs, that it gets a little challenging when we're talking about like science teachers or math teachers or history teachers or anyone who's not a English content teacher. Like, what kind of strategies did you use when you were in the classroom to kind of include writing in subject matter that wasn't just ELA?
Let's see. I think part of it was like I remember doing a unit on where students had to create their own board games. That was like integrating math. They had to like write instructions and communicate, but it integrated math strategies as well. I think we might have been working on like multiplication or something at the time. I think I've talked about on the show before, when my students put together birdhouses from recycled materials, going through that design thinking process. And so that was integrating a lot of writing into science. They had to write about like the choices that they made, they had to talk about it, they had to give a presentation on it. So that was another integrating writing into science. Those are the two that stick out most to me, I think.
Very dope, very dope. So like I like the writing instructions. That's kind of a very powerful way to include writing and everything. Writing the instructions on how to solve an algorithm. This is the fraction. This is how to add fractions. I'm going to walk you through every step. Um, that kind of writing is purposeful. You're also talking about 21st century skills there in terms of being able to articulate how to solve a problem in a particular way. So I think that's very, very powerful. I mean, tutorials, like that's what we're doing as teachers right now. A lot of online tutorials. This is how you go from this place to this place. This is how you utilize this tool to do things. So I think that's excellent. Um, what we're going to talk about today is utilizing poetry to do kind of the same thing, right? And not long poems. We don't need the kids to be John Milton or Dante or anything like that. We don't need cantos here. But utilizing poems to articulate quickly what I understand about something, what I don't understand about something, my perspective perhaps on a historical event or my mathematics or something like that. And it's going to hopefully be a strategy that is one that can be used by any teacher given without having a level of expertise in ELA. And I think that's one of the things, I don't know if you agree with this, Webbs, but one of the things that I think scares teachers who are not ELA teachers away from utilizing writing strategies in their classrooms, perhaps not being um, super strong in the conventions and the grammar and the structures and some of those tools. What say you?
Yeah, I think that's true. I think also we tend to kind of get stuck in a rut of what we've always done and what we're kind of used to, and not really think about bringing in something that is, like, say I'm a math teacher, right? So if I'm a math teacher, it's not my first thought or my default perspective to include poetry as a means of assessment. I think you'd have to like get a little bit creative. I was just reading something the other day about like adding on to Bloom's taxonomy an even higher level, beyond what is it, analysis, evaluation is the top level. And that next level up is creation. So not just evaluating a thing that already exists, but creation being this highest level of Bloom's where you birth something from nothing, or you are combining new ideas together, which I thought was really fascinating because I know we advocate for creativity a lot. and the power of creativity. And I think sometimes it's viewed as like an artsy thing, but in fact, it's very demanding to create something new. It's I think, much more demanding to create something new than it is to just criticize something that already exists.
Facts. I think creation is the highest form of demonstration of mastery, right? Hey, I understand this so much that I can make something with this. And if that is not the point of school, then what is the point of school, right? I want you to be able to do the fractions. So what can you make with the fractions? Not I can just do these math problems, because in the real world, it's just not 2/3 plus 1/3 equals 3/3. It is, am I cooking? Am I designing something in a room? Am I, that's where I'm going to actually factually use that knowledge in order to say that I need to build a table that's going to fit for Thanksgiving. All my family members, I need to know fractions because perhaps I have fractional pieces of wood or something like that.
So interestingly enough, one of the things that I do during my day job is we have like metrics and alerts that get triggered to let us know when something's wrong. And we have to look at, for certain metrics, we'll look at the average over 5-minute windows or 20-minute windows, and they get evaluated every 1 minute. So you have to do all of this math to figure out, like, okay, what's the average if I'm sampling at a window of 1 minute over 5 minutes, to see if that alert is going to get triggered or not. Because it's really important to be able to know, like, is this going to wake me up at 3 a.m. because it broke and it's actually an emergency? Or, if I did the math wrong, there's a good chance I'm getting woken up for something that's actually nothing. So, yeah, definitely. Like, there's always that context, and there's always more to it than just like isolated random math problem.
Kind of taking the schoolwork from that artificial world that we construct to here's a real world scenario in which you're actually gonna deal with this. That would be my biggest pet peeve about school is, again, it's artificial. It's these made up scenarios when there are plenty of real life scenarios in which that knowledge would be necessary, that we can go and co-opt in order to get students to really understand that this is why this is very important for you to be able to do. So excellent. So we're going to do haikus, and we're going to do haikus with some mathematics here. And again, haiku, if you're not familiar with it, Japanese art form, 3-line poems, 5 syllables in the first. So you're doing math just by creating the poem. So 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. Usually about nature, but it can be applied to anything. And I've been using haiku in class for over a decade to do a number of things, whether it's, again, math or science or whatever. They're very quick because they're very short. And they're also, they free the learner from having to be able to construct grammatically correct sentences. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. I mean that in kind of the freedom of playing with words. So if we start to look from this from the perspective of an EL student, for example, right? Someone who's just learning English, mathematics does not have a language, right? Math is a language into itself. So whether you speak Spanish or Portuguese or whatever, you're learning math the same way that somebody who's learning it in English. And to utilize writing as a handicap there, I think is unfair. Well, I could totally understand what you're talking about in my native language, and then you ask me to write it in English. It doesn't mean that I don't understand. I just can't communicate in English what I would be able to communicate in my native language. But if you use haiku, where I could use words in isolation or phrases that I know, then perhaps it makes it a little bit more approachable for me to be able to construct my understanding and demonstrate that to you in English, because I'm not being asked to write whole paragraphs or long sentences. I can just say these little bite-sized words strung together are going to tell me, okay, cool, that kid understands the Pythagorean theorem, or Avogadro's constant, as we have been. If you watch our other podcast, the Avogadro's number was something hilarious from the last time we did that. So you have that
Mole.
mole.
Mole. Anyway,
The other thing that the haiku in particular gives you an advantage of is they're short. And so if you need to make them exit tickets, you want to create an assessment. This is your final assessment here. I want you to write a haiku that explains to me how to do X or Y or Z. They're pretty accessible. If you want to kind of look at who are the masters, or who would be the master of Japanese haiku, Basho is always who I start with, and kind of let kids read the Basho stuff. Very beautiful, very descriptive. It'd be another way to utilize this in your classroom right now is just have kids go look outside their window and construct haiku about what they see, whether that's green stuff, whether it's flower beds, whether it's kind of the urban landscape or whatever. It's kind of a cool activity just utilize very quickly. So what we're going to do actually, Webbs and I are going to walk you through this with the idea of triangles. All right. And triangles are kind of, kindergartners learn about triangles, so it's kind of a accessible deal there. Shapes are something that whether you're English speaker, Spanish speaker, whatever, you've seen the triangle. It was a triangolo in Spanish, Webs?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you've seen a triangle, we can make the shape triangle. That kid is going to respond that is a triangle and be able to give you some characteristics of it. What's up, Webs?
I did trivia with some folks from work last night, and one of the questions that came up was, how many degrees are the angles of a hexagon? And I happened to think about our triangle thing and 180 degrees. I was like, hexagon is made up of triangles. There's 6 triangles in a hexagon. 6 times 180 degrees, 720.
Indeed. So, I mean, hey, it's a
SOHCAHTOA.
Exactly. SOHCAHTOA and all that other weird stuff that our mathematic friends.
I just want to say, too, that I won that round of trivia.
Indeed. So we're just going to rock and roll with it. Not something super, I guess, intensive and intimidating. Go ahead, Webs.
I was just going to say, I think that's also a way of engaging. So, you kind of have kids that are partial to reading, writing. You have kids that are partial to math, science, that kind of a thing. And I think a way of like cross-pollinating that and engaging one group that may not normally be engaged would be something like this haiku. I bet you'd have a lot of kids who, maybe math isn't their favorite topic. And by giving them this outlet to like be creative, play with words, you might actually find that you're making them more engaged in math as a topic because you're taking this sort of alternative perspective to doing an exit ticket to assessing their knowledge.
Absolutely.
And it is lightweight. It is nice that it's like a lightweight thing. It doesn't need to be some long essay that you're going to spend 1 billion hours on or something. It's just really quick, easy read.
And it's fun. Like, I mean, they're going to.
Yeah, it's super fun.
So it's fun. And the reason why I despise, I was good at math my entire high school career. I placed out of math in college, so I only had to take 1 math class, and I never took another math class. But I hated math because how boring math class was. It was so monotonous in terms of here's a problem, solve the problem, here's the proof, write the proof. There was nothing uber. I never had a very creative teacher that says, here's math. This is this concept we want to do. This is how we apply it to something. I want you to build a video game. I want you to write a poem. I want you to do something really, really cool with it. Webs, what was your math experience in school? Did you have an exciting math teacher?
Oh, God. So I was always really good at math. Well, that's not true. I was terrible at learning my math facts when I was in 4th grade. I could not get my multiplication facts down to save my life, which is funny because I actually excelled at math and was placed in advanced math classes. Like I was a grade ahead in math. And my friends always made fun of me because of it. And I got to college and I couldn't use my waiver because I was in the College of Ed. You weren't allowed to use your waivers if you were in the College of Ed. And I remember having 2 math teachers that really turned me around as far as my attitude, because even though I was really good at it, I hated math, hated it. Didn't see the purpose in it, just thought it was like drudgery. Oh, it was painful. But I had 2 professors in college that changed my mind. And I think that's because they were so passionate about it and they really did a great job sharing their beauty of it. I had one professor in particular, and I wish I could remember his name, but I'm blanking on it right now. We didn't have to do anything, right? It was this point system. And however many points you wanted to get, like he told you, okay, if you want to get a C, you need this many points. If you want a B, you need this many points. If you want to get an A, you need this many points. And he had all these different tasks that were laid out at the very beginning of the semester that were like, here's all the things you're going to be able to do. Figure out how you want to do your point combination. If you show up to class, you get 5 points per class. If you take a test, all the points on that test count toward your point value. if you show up to these special talks where he would invite like guest speakers, then you get an extra 100 points or something. If you put together a project that has like all this kit of manipulatives, which I still have in my garage, by the way, then you get X number of points. And I remember, I will never forget, I was presenting my kit that I have in the garage still of all my math manipulatives. And he said, he's like, so you're a math major, right? I was like, oh no. I am not a math major. I'm a language arts major. Oh, okay. So you're a math minor then. I was like, also not true. Bilingual education is my minor. And he's like, that's such a tremendous waste because it's so clear that like you care about math and you really enjoy it and you're really good at it. So it was really funny because that totally changed my mind on how I felt about math. It was like opening up this whole world of the beauty of it that I just didn't see before. And so ever since then, I've been super into math and I think it's super fascinating. I have a tattoo on my back. That's the golden ratio. Like I'm super into it now. And even in my career, like I use math a bunch in my career. Like I did a whole like course on machine learning, and machine learning is really math heavy. So yeah, talk about 180 degrees.
Oh my goodness. This is like corny jokes time now. Like, yeah. All right, cool. All right, great. Now, what you said was totally intriguing. The most intriguing part of that was like the alternative way of assessment that professor used, kind of allowing you to set your own goals and understand. I think it was dope because it reminds me of the only math class I took at Mizzou was a Stat 101 class. And when we took that Stat 101 class, he told us everyone in this class is going to be. I said, word? He was like, yeah, everyone's going to be. Whether you do everything or you do nothing, going to be. I'm like, word. So it didn't demotivate me. It made me want to do the work. So, totally. Because it was like, there is no risk of failure here. I can do whatever I want. If he gives me the assignment, I can try all of them, get them all wrong. I'd still get a B. So, I mean, there was still, if you look at it from like a video game perspective, if you knew you would never die on the board, you can jump into everything because you know I can't die. So it was a really, he is the professor, even though I was not going to be a teacher at that point. It was my freshman year of college. He is the person that when I start to think about how I grade and assess now, he is the person that influences the most. Like, look, grades are stupid. They fundamentally are not a motivating factor, right? There are people who want grades, but they don't. If the point of grades, I think, kind of damages the integrity of the learning process in the video game that is called school. If you arbitrarily, and again, grades are totally arbitrary, right? Because like A in somebody's class could be a C in this other person's class, or could be a D in somebody else's class. So we don't have some universal marker that says that every math class is graded the same way, right? And I know I'm going off on a tangent here, but bear with me. He's a dude that kind of really made me reevaluate when I got into grad school to be a teacher. When people started talking about grading rubrics and grading practices and stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. I went and busted my butt with this dude in this dude's class, knowing I had a guaranteed B at least in my back pocket. Why did I do that? Because again, it took the fear of failure away from me, and it said you can fail as much as you want. You still are going to benefit from the failure. And I think I learned the information in that class a lot better because I wasn't stressed. I wasn't thinking about, oh my God, the midterm is coming. Do I know everything? It was like, all right, cool. I studied. If I get a D on the midterm, I still get a B. Why do I care? Would I want that same attitude perhaps in the higher levels of like med school? Probably not. But if you're talking about like a stat class or something like that, and it was an honors college class too. So you had kids who were predisposed to, I guess doing their work or whatever. But that one class really influenced me again greatly on how I grade kids.
That's interesting because we allow those things. We tend to allow those things for gifted kids, but we don't allow the same things for all kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every kid, whether it's a special ed kid, was not a special ed kid, is like, hey, yo, try to scrap out. If you dig it, cool. If you don't dig it, okay, we try again next week. Again, I think that we lose sight of the fact that this is the training ground for life. And as the training ground, sometimes you're going to drop stuff and you're not going to do it right or whatever. And that it shouldn't be a punitive measure here. It should be an instructional measure that says, hey, this is how we make sure that this happens. So when you get to the fact you're 35, you actually have a job, you have some kind of work ethic and understanding and ability to be lifelong learners like we want students to be. So again, I mean, the grading thing perplexes me greatly.
But haikus.
Indeed. All right. So one of the places that we're just going to arbitrarily choose triangles, because again, if we're thinking about kindergarten and pre-K, identification of shapes is kind of an important concept, right? This is a really cool video that is just a triangle song. It's hilarious because it demonstrates some usages of triangles. One of the things we want to always think about as instructors is like, what knowledge is a kid bringing to the table in terms of triangles, and then kind of also making the field even for students who perhaps don't have a lot of pre-existing knowledge about the particular topic that I'm dealing with. And it's like a 2-minute video. I'm going to just run through it really quickly just because it's fun. So let's play the video really quick.
Triangle. If the length is equal on every side, say it's equilateral like this road sign. And since every angle's less than 90 degrees, an acute triangle it will also be. If you add up every angle, there are 180 degrees in a triangle. Degree angle is inside. If you add up every angle, there are 180 degrees in a triangle.
There are 2 ways to classify triangles, by their sides and their angles. Like sails out on the high seas, can't be right or isosceles. Or look at the foot of this goose, it's scalene and obtuse. When you break the pool balls with the cube, they're equilateral and acute.
If you add up every angle, there are 180 degrees in a triangle.
All right. So first and foremost, I dig songs because songs have choruses, right? There's a very repetitive nature about songs. You heard some values that were repeated over and over again to the kids that made them seem very, valuable and important. So even if a kid didn't know anything about triangles, what would be one number perhaps they know about triangles afterward, Webbs?
I'm going to go with what is 180 degrees, Alex?
And they said that like a number of times in the song, right? Hit that over and over.
A number of times.
Ha ha. We're just on the
corny jokes train.
Indeed. So
woo.
The that video in 1 minute and 55 seconds will give kids some prior knowledge perhaps that they either weren't aware that they had or they didn't have at all, right? So making the field kind of even. So when we do a activity like this, where we want to know what kids know about triangle facts, maybe we've done a couple, we've read some stories about triangles, we've watched a couple videos about triangles, we've done some word problems with triangles, etc. Now, in order to kind of build our little haiku, we want to know some background knowledge or some knowledge that we've acquired about triangles. And so I'm using a Padlet here But one of the tools that has become increasingly popular amongst teachers is Jamboard, right? You can do a Jamboard with this as well. I like Padlet just because it's really easy to take these things and there you can customize them in a number of ways. But you can do this exact same deal with the Jamboard here as well. If you don't pay for Padlet, unfortunately, you only get 3, but nothing stops you from using a Padlet, exporting it out, and deleting the contents and using the same 3 over and over again. What say you, Webbs?
I think too, going back to the song, it makes a great anticipatory set activity. People like music. Like I was jamming to that, and I'm an adult. Like you can't help but kind of groove and get into it. So it also sets the mood for your entire lesson where like, hey, if I'm a kid, I get to jam to this song for a little while before we kind of get into things. It makes it way more fun. I think too, one of the advantages that I happen to like over Padlet is I think Jamboard's great. It's more freeform. So if you're looking for something like this where you want to like kind of keep kids in columns with their ideas, they don't have to worry about sorting. They can just hit the plus sign and keep it moving. That's another thing that I think is kind of an advantage of Padlet over a Jamboard.
All right, so another advantage of Padlet is the fact that if we're here, I can upload anything from my device. So if you're using Chromebooks especially, you can upload things there. Any links, perhaps there's a student's going to provide a link to a picture, an idea, or something, like you do that. You can Google search within the Padlet. You can also take pictures with the webcam. So if I was holding a picture of a triangle or something, and I wanted everyone to see that book of triangles I have, I can take a picture there. But I can also video record from the camera, my webcam. I can voice or audio record. I can record my screen on the Padlet. I can draw on it. I can add a location. Maybe there's a triangular, the Bermuda Triangle I want to put on the deal there. I'm going to put a location, the Bermuda Triangle, and I can also link to other Padlets. So this gives us a lot of other options and differentiates the ability for a student to actually give us examples of their understandings of things, which is far greater than what you would be able to use with the Jamboard. Is there a cost to it? Of course, but again, you can remix those 3 Padlets you get for free over and over and over again and just delete the information, especially if you're not I'm a specialist. So I see a ton of kids. If you're a grade level teacher, you have one class of kids, it's gonna be a lot easier for you to just recycle those Padlets. What say you, Webbs?
Also accessibility wise, right? So if you're talking about students who are pre-literate, it's going to be way easier for them to record their voice or do a video than it is for them to type something out.
Absolute facts. So as you see here, and as Webbs kind of alluded to earlier, you have the ability in Padlet to create, and I just created some categories here so kids can kind of channel their knowledge here. So how would you describe a triangle? Where do you see triangles? How can you make triangles? And what could you make with triangles? And you saw in the video they put 3 triangles beside one another, and then they made the 180 degrees deal there. Gonna have a number of kids like what comes into triangle, what are things that come in triangular slices, perhaps pizza and cheese, etc. And so Webbs has that link, and right now she's adding information to that. You will also see they have the ability to comment here. So pointee, that's a great word to use. All right, great. And I'm going to actually do not disturb there because I'm going to see that automatically. Great, fine. Baklava is there, and baklava is hilarious. That's a great word. Also have a situation where, okay, cool, she put baklava there. I don't know what baklava is. Could I, as a student right now, open another tab and go on Google and Google baklava? Oh, cool, I know what that is. That's a new word I can add to my war chest there. It's also a delicious word, right? That's a food I might want to utilize. So great. So describe them. I would describe them as 3 sides. Oops. Cool. Where do you see triangles? I see them on road signs. And I'm going to Google inside here, and I'm going to look for yield sign images. Yield sign. Great. And you see that I can add that image there. You also see that I can add GIFs there, which is also hilarious. So great. I've got road sign there, fulcrum. What can make with it? How can you make a triangle with tooth picks? And I'm gonna Google there. And I'm gonna find tooth picks. Right, and the toothpicks popping there. So this is a lot easier and a lot more visual, right? So again, if I didn't know what baklava was, and Webb's added the image of baklava in there, so if you edited that one and add the image of baklava, oh, suddenly I'm also getting the idea that that's a food that looks like a triangle as well. That's just not pizza. Excellent. So I'm gonna write pizza here, and I'm gonna actually add a GIF. Wonderful. There's a GIF for pizza. So far more dynamic the Jamboard is going to be at this point. It's going to give you. Everyone is seeing this in real time as it pops up. It also is very dope for your friends who are to be doing the on-demand learning, right? I can still be part of the class. If I want to have a scenario in which, again, I do this 3 weeks after it's done, I can still, I can embed this inside of your course or whatever is necessary and still be able to participate. So that's really, really dope. All right, it's cool. So we're going to use these door stuff. So Webb's is like really, really, really giving us some like outside the box type of ideas, right? So got tons of stuff there. Let's get to kind of to the, let's build the haiku, right? So we have words here that are very, very dynamic. And this is where we talk about how easy this is. Rewrite Think already has a haiku starter printout for you. If you're using Chromebooks, just give the kids this link and have them hit view printout. And this is going to open up here. Great. Got this here. What we're going to do is we can type right on this website. We do not need to go and download anything yet. So I'm just going to say Mike and Webb's here. Today is 24, right? 24, 25.
25.
Yep. 245, 25, 2020. Excellent, great. So as we said before, Japanese, this is a Japanese art form. We're going to call this the triangles. All right. Brainstorm words. Did we just brainstorm some words, Webbs?
We did.
We did. So I've got a bunch of words here that we already brainstormed. So whether I'm a kid who had a lot of triangle knowledge, had a little bit of triangle knowledge, we have a storehouse here that'll allow you to go and steal words and ideas from the community's knowledge. Now, we're going to have people out there that says, oh my God, that's cheating, Webbs. That's cheating. They didn't know these things. That's cheating. I want to know what he knows or she knows. Like, what say you in response to that, Webbs?
I mean, from a college and career readiness perspective, I pair with other people on a regular basis. I ask other people for help on a regular basis. The worst thing I could do is not know something and not ask anyone, or wait forever to ask someone. So I understand the desire to, at some point, assess a student's knowledge, to figure out like, what do they know? What do they not know? And also we have to reckon with the fact that that's not how the real world works. So I think that, especially if this was, hey, we're just introducing this topic, like the world will not end if they have a scaffold to help them with their knowledge.
Absolute facts. And you're also going to have students that say, you know what, I don't need that. I'm going to do it myself.
Mm-hmm.
Understand that. But you're going to have students that say, okay, perhaps I do not have the same experiences as my peers do. I'm going to need these things. Perhaps I'm a bad speller, or I don't know what a triangle looks like, or whatever. This is going to give me a knowledge base. This is going to give me, there's a reason why websites have knowledge bases. There's a reason why products have knowledge bases. It's not cheating to go look at a knowledge base and say, I thought I knew what I was doing, but I don't know. I got stuck. Let me go back. I mean, I'm going to go way old school with this, Webbs, and you tell me if this is something that you also did. If you are a child of the 80s and 90s, well, pre-internet, one of the things we used to do when we play video games, Game Informer used to come out and give us the cheat codes, right? I can't get past this certain part. Don't. Let me go really quickly. I would run to the store. I would find the Game Informer. I would read it in the store and close it, put it back on the shelf and say, oh, now I know how to beat that board, right? Have you had a similar experience?
Yeah, for sure. Or what was the other one? The
Our
Nintendo Power. Yeah, Nintendo Power was what I was thinking of.
So I mean, you cheated all the time, and it wasn't like I went and won the magazine to tell me how to beat the entire board. It was just, I got stuck at a particular point. I tried my best to get to a point. I can't beat Gandalf here, Holmes. I can't beat him. How do you beat Gandalf? Here is the pattern. Now I know how to beat Gandalf. So I don't know. Anyway, so what you're going to do here is we're simply going to type in words that have characteristics with the triangles here. So let's go baklava first, and pizza. That's because where food is involved. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving for people. Baklava, pizza, cheese. Let's go
Mountains.
Let's go scalene, obtuse, acute, 180 degrees. And let's do this 180. That'll work. What else, Webs?
Fulcrum. I really like the word fulcrum.
Sounds like a spy, like double agent name, Agent Fulcrum.
Yeah. Agent Fulcrum. I think that was actually one of the agents on like either Get Smart or one of those like parody shows. Or Fulcrum was like the evil organization, like Hive. I started rewatching Arrow a couple weeks ago. Indeed. So I'm in like season 3.
Indeed. I just got somebody told me to watch that, and the other Gotham was the other one. Somebody told me to watch Gotham. I was like, okay, maybe I'll get to them perhaps.
I feel like they're very different vibes.
Okay.
Like Gotham's like real dark. Arrow is like, I started watching Arrow ironically because it was just kind of like a ridiculous premise, but I digress. Continue.
Indeed. All right, so all we're going to do is type some words in there. Those all deal with triangles. And the other thing that's really cool about Padlet is we could say, hey, that one really deals. That's great. All right, cool. Yep, 3 sides, that works. Pointy, yep, that works. Mountains, yep. Those peaks work, yep. I can go and kind of give people visuals as to, all right, cool. Yep, those definitely work. I can also delete those. If it doesn't work, I can say, hey, you know what? That's something that's not actually true. We can go through these as a class. Hey, does this satisfy? Yeah, totally. Yeah, doorstop. Because Webbs gave us a visual that a doorstop is a right triangle. Really, that works. Fulcrum, I don't know what that is. Let's look up the word fulcrum. Make sure. Yep, fulcrum works. So again, I can walk.
I think too when
you're
you're talking about scaffolding for your English learners, the visuals are so helpful. So even if you're not sure what the word is, like you can at least see what the picture is.
Absolutely. All right. So super cool. That's there. Let's go back to our haiku here. And what we're going to do here, and I totally forgot to pull this up. The haiku is based on syllables. All right. So one of the things that is the further you get away from kindergarten, the less likely you're going to be able to use syllables effectively. I have found in my jaunts through haiku, because it's never really hit upon again after kindergarten, first grade. It is usually the say it out loud, and you're like, okay, cool. That's glad you're clapping and stuff, but it's very difficult, especially if you're EL learner, to understand how to do that, the break something into syllables, right?
Also, that always really frustrated me because there is no like walkthrough of where those syllables break. So I remember as a kid getting really frustrated that there were some words where I was like, oh, I could see it breaking this way, like pizza or pizza. Which one is it? Does it break between the Z's? Does it break between the Z and the A? I could see it both ways. So this whole like, oh, if I just clap it out, that helps is like the biggest farce in the world. Also, This is not a skill that you need to be able to do for any productive job. So why are we putting so much? It doesn't even help you better understand words. It doesn't help you write better. It doesn't help you read better. Why are we pushing this skill on? Like, you go to the website. We have that technology. So
I don't teach kids how to do syllables. I just tell them how to get to how many syllables, and then they put the word in there and we're good. So again,
oh my gosh, this is an amazing resource. It has so many good qualities. Like, it reads the word out loud to you. Like, it's amazing.
And so, like, cut the crap. Like, go directly to the website. Baklava, cool. Especially if I've never seen that word before, I don't even know how to pronounce it. So I would not be successful creating syllables out of a word I don't know how to pronounce. So
Baklava.
Yeah.
Baklava.
Club. I mean, like, even like words like police, right? Now, you're a West Coast person, you'll say police, right? You're a Southern person,
Yeah.
Like, just pronunciations of words change how you perceive where the syllables are. So if I was in a different part of the country, I might say a word a different way that might throw off my syllabication, but it is what it is. So baklava is there. I'm going to go to howmanysyllables.com and I'm going to type baklava there. Now, I don't need to know how to pronounce the word because it's going to pronounce the word for me. So our EL friends have another scaffold. How many syllables? It has 3. It's going to break it down visual for me. Baklava. Okay, and then
baklava.
Bada bing. I don't need to know how to pronounce the word. It's going to teach me how to pronounce the word. Now I can put that in my back pocket and say, I know how to pronounce baklava. Excellent. I also know it has 3 syllables. So I'm going to go back here and hit 3 syllables. Excellent. Pizza. Great. Same thing. Pizza has 2 syllables. It's pronounced pizza. Pizza. Not pizza, as we might say if we're just looking at the letters there. Pizza. Excellent.
Pizza.
And then
Pizza.
How many syllables? It has 2. I'm going to go ahead and add 2 and so on and so forth, right? So all of those things, I'm going to deal with it. Let's do 180 though, because that's not a word. That's a group of words. So then our friends are going to say, oh, you know what? I'm going to put them in one by one. So 1, great, 1 syllable. The stress is on the 1 syllable. It's pronounced like 1. And if I need to know how to say it, great. So I know it has 1 syllable. So let's do some math. 1 and then 100. It has 2 syllables. 100. Stress is on the hun. 100.
100.
The audio cut out for me and it sounded like your computer was dying.
Indeed. I mean,
It was like,
100. No.
100.
So we're up at 3. 100. I love the people who are reading these. Okay, we're at 3.
So 3 syllables and we said 80. So 80 has 2 syllables. Stress on the 8. 80.
80.
So 1 plus 2 plus 2 is 5 syllables. So we're doing math as we're writing our poem. Great. So we have 5 syllables there. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So we're teaching math while writing a poem that's also teaching us math. That's uber meta. All right, so cool. Let's pretend we got all those knocked out. All right, great. At the bottom, and this is why this is such a great resource, I can beta my poem right here on the same page. So I'm going to call it My Fulcrum of Pointiness. All right, great. Tells us how many syllables need to be on each line. Mountain is 2. Of pointy, that's 5. Let's deal with
Baklava pizza.
baklava. Pizza. We need 2 more syllables in there.
No, bakla. Oh, because it's 7. My bad.
let's say,
Okay, move baklava pizza to the last line. Because
oh,
that's exactly 5 syllables.
mountain of pointy. I just had an idea. Oh, that's what it is. Obtuse baklava pizza. On fulcrum. On fulcrum of
Fun.
Yeah, it works. All right, cool. So my fulcrum of pointiness, mountain of pointy obtuse baklava pizza on fulcrum of fun. Obtuse, we know obtuse angles can be in a triangle. Baklava is something that's in a triangle as well, or in shape of the triangle. Pizza as well. They're pointy. That's a word that we used before. We also use mountains. Fulcrum is part of that deal. That might be our vocabulary word that we really like. That word that I heard and I'm like, oh, that's a really cool word. I'm going to use that over and over and over again. All right, great. And we did that in like 3 minutes or something like that, if we would have did it in real time, right? So great. Now, if you're using your Chromebook, over in the top left-hand corner there, you're going to see that if you upload it into Google Classroom, kids should be able to write on that with no problems. But if you don't, if you just give them the link, go to your print option there, and you're going to see that it says save as PDF in terms of your destination. Just change that destination to save as PDF, and it will save all the information that's there. All right, great. I'm just going to keep that up. Now, as we said before, that's a beta of the poem. Let's be like sexy now and say, I want to present this to the world. And if you're someone who is looking to take your kids and allow them to design, like taking this poem that we wrote and design it, Adobe Spark is a place we can do that. And so let's like walk through some examples very quickly. So I'm going to use that one last. So here's a poem, a haiku poem that we built earlier. Triangles are fun, 90 degrees in the sun, super strong triangles. Great. Here's my haiku. There is an example, a visual example of a triangle, great, and we did some design work around it. So our visual, our design-minded students are going to say, oh my goodness, you just gave me an opportunity to write and then design something that's going to be able to be presented to the world, all right? So then we also—
I'd say too, like, don't feel like you have to master every aspect of Adobe Spark. This is a post. You don't have to master every aspect of it and show students how to do every piece of it. They'll figure it out on their own. If you just give them access to the tool and give them some basic guidelines, like it must include a picture of a triangle and your poem has to be on it, include your name or logo on it. Like if you include those 3 things and that's the only structure you give them, they will take it and run with it in most cases, I think. They will explore and click on things and change the colors and change the shapes. Encourage that, because honestly, like going back to the college and career readiness piece, like that's a lot of how I figure out my job is I have to explore, I have to find information, I have to put pieces together. It's a lot of problem solving.
Facts. And also, I mean, perfection is overrated. So even if it doesn't look like this is something I can publish on a blog tomorrow, the simple act that I've done it once might encourage me to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. And anytime you ask me to produce something, hey, I've used Adobe Spark before. Let me go and play around with that. So that's just a Spark post, and we're gonna look at the background of the underbelly of this tool in just a second. So there's the post. You can also build a video there. So this is just a triangle haiku. I'm gonna play this through. This is like 25 seconds, right? Triangles, a haiku poem by Michael Lang. Stronger than your square. 180 degrees of 3-sided power. All right, so cool. 25 seconds. It's just a bunch of pictures and ads and stuff. We're gonna kind of show you how to do that with the poem we just wrote. And then for your like kids that want to go way beyond and really do some very interesting stuff, I love Adobe Spark page because it looks like an amazing magazine. It's just really, really attractive. And so same deal here with that triangles, a haiku, great. I've got the glide show going on there. Got some triangles there, my first line of my poem. And again, there's no right way to do this. Some examples. my second line of my poem, some more examples, my third line of my poem. Wonderful. Now, I could have added the videos there. I could have done a number of things, but just giving kids the opportunity to play around with the design, I think, so that they are more inclined to use it in the future. Very, very important. So let's look at the back here, web. So if we just wanted to build the post very, very quickly, I'm just going to go to custom size very quickly. It doesn't matter any of these. You could make it and add it. Hey, perhaps you're posting to Facebook or to Instagram or whatever you want to deal with. I'm just going to keep the custom default there. And when this pops up, there are some templates. If you're in Clark County School District watching this, you have the premium version of this product for free. So what you're seeing right now, you have the ability to do all of this right now. All right. I'm going to hit that plus sign up there, and I'm going to say first, let's add a photo and find free photos. And we're just going to look for triangles. Great. That's that picture that you saw before in my video there. I'm going to click that one because it looks kind of interesting. Now, when I click that, one of the things I'm going to do here, you can remove the background for this is a beta function of it. Works sometimes very well. Sometimes it doesn't work very well. So use that at your own, kind of way, whether you're going to use that or not. But I'm simply going to hit add to the background, and I'm going to move that so it deals with a little bit that way. I'm going to move it. Let's do that way. It's not going to fit precisely on that. So I'm going to replace that with a different triangle picture. That's kind of interesting because it's a weird, that triangle's kind of interesting. He's used that one. Kind of.
What do you call that when it, MC Escher, when it like is endless or whatever?
I don't remember what the actual term is for that. Math people.
Yeah.
Figure that one out, math people. But that's really kind of cool, right? So that's an illusion triangle. Very, very cool. Now, got that there. Could we use the templates and stuff? Of course, but I'm not going to complicate my life. I'm just going to hit the text there. And you've got a lot of really cool text. And what I'm going to do, webs, is I'm going to click there. And I'm going to use this first just because I think I've got an idea. So I'm going to put the title of my poem there in that circle there. And we call that poem, if I'm not mistaken, my fulcrum of pointiness. So I'm going to take that. Is it that one? Yep. All right, cool. All right, and I'm going to go and I'm going to change that color. Let's deal with kind of a blacker. I like that gold. So let's do that. Excellent.
There's also a style like selector thingy that will random select different qualities and features. So if you're not sure, I do this a lot when I'm like not quite sure what I want, is I'll just like spin through the style selector a bunch until I find something that like sparks my, oh yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I'll tweak it from there. Like, oh, but I really want this to have like a shadow or an outline, or I want it to be a different color. That's a really helpful way to give yourself some inspiration if you're not quite sure like where to start.
I'm going to keep it that way. And I'm going to add I'm going to play around with this in the back there. But anyway, let's blur that just a little bit. All right, this is just kind of me playing around so I can see those letters a little bit better. That works. All right, cool. Can we filter it? Yeah. So your kids will start playing around with this, the colorizing and the filtering and stuff like that. So this is where, like, don't give them a ton of instruction. And I know that sounds like, oh my God, don't do that. Don't give them a ton of instruction, because a lot of this is just me kind of, I don't want to say play, but that's exactly what it is. And Webb's kind of mentioned that before. It's just me playing around with it and saying, okay, cool. I want it to look this way. Okay, cool. Let me go actual size again. Cool.
I think too, when it comes to motivating your learners, this is going to be really powerful, because it's allowing them to make this very personalized. And we've seen with research that personalization is a motivator for people to be engaged. That's why you see in video games that people have the opportunity to personalize their avatars. If you look at games like Animal Crossing, it's basically you personalize your entire island. You can decide like who you invite and what the houses look like, what the layout looks like. All of that personalization, it creates high levels of engagement. And on our other show, we've talked about Yukai Cho's Octalysis framework and how those are the qualities that drive human behavior. Maybe on a future episode of this, we could talk about it. But that is a really powerful thing. So by giving them these tools like Adobe Spark, the posts, the video, the pages, it allows them to really express, their personal style, however they want to do it. And that customization you're going to find will lead to really high levels of engagement.
Facts. All right, so I'm going to change that. And I want to put that on. Let me put that in there. And I don't want the Source Pro. You got tons of different things here. I'm going to make that. Cool. Yeah, it works. I don't want the outline there. So for right now, I'm going to make it work with that. So again, total customization. I make it what it will look like I want to. I would just download that, or I can share it. If I publish that, I can send it to my Google Drive as well. If you're using Canvas, you can send it directly to your Canvas course, etc. All right. The hard work is already done here. The writing of the poem is already done. Now you're giving them the opportunity to play around in design. Go ahead, Webbs.
And I think too, this is, one of we talked earlier about things I've done with my students in the past. And one of the big changes I saw was when we shifted from just writing in class to blogging, and having an audience made it so that revising and editing were suddenly very meaningful steps for them, because they knew that there was an audience, a genuine audience that was going to see it. And I think by having them write the draft and then transfer it to something that is more, feels more publishy, feels more like there's a reason for you to rewrite it. It's not just, there's a lot of times, you have them write it and then, we'll write it with double spaces. Now write it with single spaces. And I remember as a kid being like, why are you making me do this? Like, what is the point? You're the only one seeing this. What difference does it make? But this is actually a purposeful reason for rewriting it. And what they may find is as they're rewriting it into their Spark post or their video or their page is that I don't really like that word. I think I'm going to change this a little bit. I think I want to, rewrite this particular line or whatever the case is. But there's a genuine, authentic reason for them rewriting it that isn't just like because I said you have to learn how to revise and edit.
Absolutely. And the video, the thing I like about video here, Webbs, is that it's not really video. It's slideshow.
So I used video to do a proof of concept for an idea I had for work just earlier this week. So again, there's an example of how it is a college and career readiness skill.
It's just straight accessible. All these have templates. I'm not going to use the template. I'm going to start from scratch. And using the video is like, if your students can put together the Google slideshow, they can put together a Adobe Spark video. It runs the same way. Don't ever let them push that button, ever, ever, ever. Having that tutorial there, it's 1 minute and 7 seconds. If they forget how to do something, that will walk them through it. One of the things that drives me absolutely insane is, Mr. Lang, how do you do X, Y, and Z? Did you watch the tutorial? Nope. Watch the tutorial. But the tutorials exist for a reason, to show you how to do stuff. Mr. Lang's word is not gospel, right? So having students hear a voice other than yours to show them how to do things is also uber important, right? So don't let them ever hit that button. Don't let them ever hit the X. Let them watch the tutorial first. And that will go and solve like 95% of your problems inside of Adobe Spark video, in my opinion. Inside here, super easy. Video, if you have video from your device, text, photo, icon. All I'm going to do is before we get to that, you can make it full screen. You can split the screen if you would like. Captions, title, and text. For my situation, I'm just going to keep everything full screen. I'm going to click that. I'm going to type text. I type the first line of the poem here, second line, etc., etc. Super easy to deal with. Like uber easy. The only kind of like, you want to be kind of cool, You can upload your own music here as well. So if you had students who are musically inclined and want to create their own triangle soundtrack, they can do that themselves, but it comes with its music preloaded. I'm not going to walk us through that deal because it kind of, we've been on for quite a while today. So that's there. And then the page. And the web page is looking behind it. This is kind of if you had to say the most open of the different products, in my opinion, it would be this one, because you can utilize inside here. I can bring the Adobe Spark video inside. I can bring through the Glideshow, the photo grid, or just the photo, the Adobe Spark post. This is kind of like the Voltron, word to my sweatshirt here, the Voltron type tool. You can bring all those things together and kind of make a dynamic project. Perhaps we'll go deeper into the Adobe Spark suites, because if Google is the productivity tool of the 21st century that students need to be fluent in, I think Adobe is the creativity tool set that students need to be proficient in order to kind of walk forward in the 21st century and be exposed to it as early as possible. Do you agree, disagree, Webbs?
Yeah, I think that I was just thinking, no matter what job you have, at some point you're going to have to communicate with other humans, oddly enough. And in order to do that and do that effectively, these are the types of tools I think we need to use more of. Because I've even found myself sitting in meetings where someone's talking to me and pointing to something on their screen, and I just kind of tune out, because you're not presenting me with a narrative. You're not giving me a coherent story to provide, to like encompass what your point is. I think we tend to rely on those methods of sharing information because they're convenient. But when you're talking about impact, being able to, and this is what I was talking to my colleagues about earlier this week, when you're talking about impact, making something memorable and creating an artifact that people can reference back to again and again, these are the kinds of tools that I think are most useful to be able to do that. Specifically, we were talking about features like that are rolling out for a certain product, and being able to showcase those features using Adobe Spark Video, and just doing I think I used the idea template, share an idea template, just to roll out like, hey, here's the feature that we're going to be rolling out. Here's why we're rolling it out. Here's when we plan on getting it done. Here's how it impacts your work. This is what we're going to accomplish together by the time we're done. And that short, I think it was like 1 minute. My proof of concept was like a 1 minute video. And it persuaded my my colleague to be like, yeah, I think I can see how this is valuable, because this information is sticking with me much better with the way that you presented it. And I told him, hey, I just made this in Spark Video. It's basically as easy as making a slideshow. It took me all of 10 minutes. So I think it really is a genuine 21st century college and career readiness skill.
And to kind of speak to what you just said, and we didn't look at this, so I'm going to skip that. All of these
Just promote an idea.
Preloaded information in. So even if you're like, hey, yo, I don't know how I'm going to set this stuff up for the kids, don't worry, fam, they got you covered. If you look here, setting, and it tells you exactly what you need to put on the slide. Problem, it tells you exactly what you need to put on the slide. What could it be?
So literally, this is what I did. So the setting, I used like the current context, like what's our current situation? What is the problem that we're facing for this next, phase of this product? What could be? I think I did like, what are we going to accomplish when we're done? And then solution or idea was like, what is your work going to look like in order to solve this problem? And then I think I removed the last two slides and just added an extra slide that was like, by the end of this, we'll have all created XYZ thing together.
But
and it was that easy.
It kind of gives you the training wheels to kind of get your idea out there. And I think that's why I really, of all the tools that I use on a regular basis to design and present things to people, I come constantly back to Adobe Spark because of ease. And people will go and say the Canva deal. Canva, I think, works in a separate space. They don't have that education focus the way that Adobe Spark gives you that education focus that allows any kid from kindergarten on up to kind of just access it and say, hey, I'm going to build some stuff that looks really professional, looks really pretty. And here's my idea. I found some pictures. I put some text and there it goes. I don't think Canva does that as easily. And I don't think that in terms of 21st century skills, I don't think that people are going to say on a resume, I have used Canva. What the devil is Canva? I've used Adobe, the Adobe Suite Creative Cloud. Oh, I absolutely positively know what you're talking about there, fam. Great. You're hired, right?
That's literally a skill on LinkedIn is the Adobe Creative Suite.
So to go into the Canva situation to me would be, first of all, you can't utilize that with all your kids being on there and you be able to onboard them or whatever. But also in terms of 21st century skills, being able to utilize and work in the Adobe environment is going to result in dollars for your student in a way that working in Canva is not. And so if you have the opportunity, I know a lot of large school districts, word to Clark County School District, if you are a especially secondary educator looking for Adobe Spark the creative cloud for your students, there are a number of people that you can contact inside the school district in order to try to get reduced rates for students to be able to utilize those things and get some training. Also, the Adobe has a bunch of educators, the Ed Exchange that Adobe has, a lot of free courses that you can walk yourself through in order to be more proficient with the Adobe stuff.
Straight out of the box, too, teachers can get an educator's rate for all the professional Adobe Suite stuff, all the Creative Cloud stuff, Illustrator, Photoshop. What's the video one?
Premiere.
Premiere, yeah.
After Effects, all the
After
stuff.
Effects, yep.
It would just be a situation where you want to definitely check your hardware, right? So it's going to be a hardware
Yes.
in terms of what your computer can actually run. And Webs, we may want to do a show. Maybe the next time we do this is kind of looking at like what should an educator be looking for in a computer in 2020, 2021? Because I think that is something that's not actively spoken of. People are using Chromebooks to try to do stuff. Not the best look there, fam.
Nope. You can't run Premiere on a Chromebook.
You can't do very much on a Chromebook.
You really can't.
So a Chromebook is a interesting device for as a secondary machine, perhaps, or as I just need to get on the internet machine, but in terms of heavy lifts and productivity and creativity and design and things.
Yeah, if you're talking about doing any sort of like video chat, don't even bother. And certainly not if you're trying to do video chat alongside other things. Like I've seen a lot of frustration on social media with social teachers who are trying to video chat and do like a Google Meet or something and also play a video, and they're frustrated because Chromebooks can't handle that. They just don't have the power for it.
Yeah, perhaps that'll be our next show. So
I like it.
Sounds like a plan. What's up, Mr. Koufax in the back, making his name, his presence known. So for Webs, I'm Mike Lang. We're just going to kind of peace out here. Hopefully the idea of writing across the curriculum came through in this podcast. This is the Invincible. Go out there and make the world a better place. God bless you. God bless America. God bless Lesotho as well.
Be invincible.
Indeed.